And now the floor is for Simon Hampton from Google.
Thank you very much, Director General. I'm doing my presentation from up here because I made it a little bit harder for myself by not using Microsoft PowerPoint for the presentation. I'm very excited to be here. I've lived in Brussels for 18 years now. I came over here at about the time of Jacques Delors, and since that time it's been clear that it's been hard sometimes for the European Union institutions to connect with the citizens. So I think today is a really important day. But it's also a really important day for the internet. It's not obvious that there'd be such a panel like this. You know, the launch of a big new initiative linked to the treaty and so on, and here we are, we're having a panel about how the internet can help. And I think that's a really important fundamental insight. The internet, as you said, can be a support, can be the backbone to what we're trying to achieve here. It can be the support to a lot of other things too. The economic impact of the internet was highlighted recently by Commissioners Barnier, Cruz and Dali when they launched the e-commerce report, and there was an event that we were lucky enough to host with Commissioner Tajani this week about how SMEs are key growth opportunities on the internet. So how should those that are organising petitions, and indeed business entrepreneurs, get the most out of the internet to achieve their ends? It's tempting to talk about technology when you work for a company like Google, but I wanted to sort of step back slightly and talk about two slightly more general points. And I think the 2 points I want to make are about the sort of the internet-powered citizen, and you can choose your words after you've heard what I've got to say about it, and also the science of online marketing. The internet-powered citizen expects to be listened to. The Arab Spring of now just, about 12 months ago combined all of the tools available on the internet, whether it was Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Dailymotion, to either communicate or to tell a story about what was happening. And even in countries where there wasn't an Arab Spring, such as in Morocco, King Mohammed VI announced that he would be organising a committee to revise the Moroccan constitution. But volunteers, the ordinary people, came together and set up their own website where they could share opinions on the sort of constitutional amendments that they thought would be necessary. And within just a month, they had 150,000 responses. Now, what isn't clear is whether the Moroccan government then subsequently decided to listen to what was asked of them by the people. The internet-powered citizen does expect a response. Sorry, this is the Moroccan website. They do expect a reaction. They want to be part of a conversation. So just a couple of weeks ago, we had a classic example of how it does work. Hundreds of thousands of people were deeply concerned about legislation being discussed in Congress that would have had a fundamentally negative impact on the internet. It goes under the name of SOPA and sometimes PIPA. 100,000 people signed on the White House website, and the White House responded, and they changed the nature of the debate by responding. So I think it's really important that there is a response. We're now also in the United Kingdom, where there is a petition system on the number 10 Downing Street site. There's a petition there, for example, from football fans who want to know the full truth of what happened in the Hillsborough disaster in 1989, when 96 supporters died. That petition has led the government to announce that they're going to make the data available. So what this means, and what the ECI has to be understood to mean, is it puts the Commission under scrutiny too. The citizen will ask of you, and you must deliver. They will expect a response. I think you made this point too. The European Commission is under scrutiny here. So that's the first point. The internet-empowered citizen expects to be listened to, and they expect a reaction. But first, they need to get the million signatures. And that's where the science of online marketing comes in. Now, the aim of any website is to be found. And that doesn't matter whether you're a publisher, whether you're an NGO, whether you're a citizen campaigner, whatever it is, you want to be found. Now, on our search engine on Google, we have 1 trillion pages. So to be found amongst those 1 trillion pages is non-trivial. It's called discovery in the jargon. But when you've been found, you then need to convert, again to use the marketing jargon. Somebody's arrived at your website, you need to get them through to the end point. In this case, signing the petition. It might be making a purchase or registering for a newsletter in other more sort of commercial instances. But here it's to sign the petition. Now, being found and that conversion are not easy, but there is a whole science that's built around it. Let me talk a little bit about that, and hopefully this will be practical and useful information for you. Now, in the offline world, they have two concepts. One called earned media, which means that, for example, the newspapers write about you by the journalists, and the other is paid media. You go and buy an advertisement, for example, in the newspaper, and basically the same apply in the online world, but it becomes far more interesting and far more complicated. So, on the earned media side, the traditional way of doing it, the traditional sort of key element is the idea of a link. So supposing you were a blogger, you're writing about something, and you link through to some article that you're interested in. Now, those links were the key ingredient that was built, that Google took advantage of to build a search engine. The idea that when you link through to something, that is, we see that as a recommendation, that the thing you're linking to is something that is also worth reading. It builds on a pretty sort of long-standing sort of academic tradition of citing all the people that have written about a subject before you, and then you then go on to explain whatever it is your new point of view. So that's fundamental to search. Now, but only in the context of sort of bloggers and so on writing long articles with links in it. You then go to something like likes, which you see on Facebook, or +1 that you see from Google, where anybody can instantaneously on a web page say, I like that, +1. And that becomes a sort of a very quick way for any individual person to say, I like this article. And then there's a sort of a middle ground, which you might call sharing or tweeting, whereby you take the link to the content that you like, and you maybe add some small comment yourself. Not a whole blog post, but a small post. Now, the internet moves fast, and what you really need in a fast-moving world is a bit of buzz, momentum. And that's where viral content comes in, and I think one of the most viral contents available is video, and Giuseppe was exactly right, whether it's on Dailymotion or on YouTube, getting the right sort of content is really important to getting that sort of buzz and that kind of earned media. And then, of course, there's advertising, and whether you do it in newspapers, TV, or online, of course, there are lots of options there. Now, one other thing that might go under the category of earned media, and don't underestimate this, 1 trillion pages on the internet. If you want to be found in a search engine, and of course you may want to be found via other forms of social media as well, but if you want to be found in a search engine, you do need to make sure that your site can be read by a giant, great computer that goes crawling around all of these 1 trillion pages. And there's a whole body of people that can help you with something called search engine optimization, again, to make your website findable in search engines relatively easier. Now, you've been found. How do you convert? I think there's one thing I would suggest here for if you're thinking of setting up one of these petitions. What we do on the internet a lot is experiment. And what I saw when I read through briefly the papers about all of this is you pick your question, and that is your question, and then you have to keep working with that question, that petition, and you can't change it along the way. Now, there are good reasons for that, but experimentation is really important on the internet. So, I don't know how exactly, but I would suggest that you start using social media and experiment with what sort of question, what sort of petition attracts people, and do a bit of testing first before you go full speed towards the application with the question baked into it, because you will get more success if you do the experimentation first. If you're running a site of any sort, you have to use the data that a site generates to see how your site is being used. Are the people coming in the way that you expect them? Are they coming in from the countries where you expect them to come in from? Are they then passing through your site from the landing page through to, say, the petition page in a way that you're expecting to? And there are lots of tools that can help you to understand how your website is being used and whether the social parts of your website are being used properly, whether people are passing from page to page properly, whether your advertising is working properly for you too. So do use the data. data is really, really important to making websites work well. So, in conclusion, Commissioner, you were absolutely right to turn to the internet to help you as you launch this initiative. That's where the citizen is, but it's a citizen that's more demanding than we've ever known before, and it's not and the European institutions need to recognise that they're working with a different type of citizen. On the internet, the challenges are to be found and to convert. And if you want more information about Google tools in particular, I would suggest you use these two. These two links will help you find information about how to use YouTube and how to use Google+. Thank you.